everybody, I'm Lorii Abela, your soulmate expert and Asian matchmaker. Welcome to tonight's episode of Matchmaker Secrets, where we talk about love, dating, and relationships, and of course, matchmaking. I have always wondered how it is to be in a romantic relationship wherein there's also the challenge of working during the weekends. So I cannot really imagine how is the dilemma for the couple as far as that is concerned. So I've invited a special guest tonight, and so she is Miss Brooke van der Bok, and she is a realtor with at properties who works across the board with sellers, buyers, and developers, and investors and renters throughout Chicago. And when she's not working on real estate, Brooke loves to travel with her significant other, Joe, or play with her pit bull, Wilbur. So how are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh my God, awesome. So thank you so much, really, for I'm sure you're busy,
yeah.
But you're here.
Sometimes you just gotta carve out special time for things.
All right, awesome. Can you share with us, your typical weekend work schedule? How does it look like, and how does it affect your romantic life?
Sure. So I would say in real estate, there is no typical schedule. You don't know if you're working, evenings, afternoons, mornings. There's a busy season, there's slower seasons, there's the in-between season. And so I think for me, I've been in this industry of real estate for 18 years, so I've kind of figured out the flow to create more of a balance to life. I'm not sure any of us can really balance life in this job, but for Joe and I, he works a lot too, and his schedule can be very unpredictable. He's a detective for CPD, and so he's on a special unit, and sometimes he should be done at 4, but they have a pressing case or a new case, and he's on till 2 in the morning. So it can create some challenges, and there's times where I think you naturally feel like you disconnect, and one of you has to sort of pause and say, hey, we're disconnecting too much right now. Can you try to be home this week by this time? Can we make sure we have dinner together? I grew up in a kind of a traditional household where my mom stayed home, my dad went off to work, and there were 4 of us kids, and we sat at the dinner table every single night. And so even though it's just Joe and I right now, we try to keep that tradition. We try to either have breakfast together in the morning before we go and start a long day and might not see each other for dinner, or we make sure we sit at the table and have dinner together. And phones are away. Whether it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes or however long the meal might be, I always say we're not brain surgeons, no one's dying, we will be okay, we can set the phone aside. And it forces you to kind of reconnect that way. And that's just day to day. But I think the most important thing is we schedule vacations. We love to travel. We love to get outside of Chicago. Maybe it's a weekend in Michigan, or maybe it's a 10-day trip to Hawaii. But we're very committed to 2 to 3 trips a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how about Wilbur?
Wilbur.
No, because who brings Wilbur out? I don't know.
So I can stop home in between appointments, so I will let him out. But depending how heavy my schedule is that day, I use WAG, dog walking services.
Oh, okay.
Wilbur likes to sleep a lot. He is a low energy dog, so I got a dog that I know works well for my lifestyle. In all fairness, I did recently foster a dog, and the joke was on me because I thought he was old. He had a very gray muzzle, and this dog just was prematurely gray. He had crazy energy. He could go on a 6-mile walk, and then he was still what are we doing next? So I learned that dogs with that level of expectation and energy don't work in my household, but he found a great family that takes him for very long walks. So low energy Wilbur works well for me.
Oh my God. No, because obviously we have to consider that because that's also part of your family.
Yeah, he is.
Before you have met Joe, did you prefer dating someone with a similar busy schedule, or did you think it's better to date somebody with more flexibility?
Sure. So before Joe, I was in a longer term relationship, and we met very young. We were both I was growing my career. And I think what happened there is there was just too much of a separation of successes and careers. There was too much of a difference. And I wanted someone who had a lot more drive than that person had. And that was just something that kind of, developed in my 30s. We got together in our later 20s. And so that didn't work for me. And I think what I learned from that is I needed someone who understood how much I love my job and I work a lot, and also they have drive and they love their job. And I will say I'm very lucky. I just found that in Joe very randomly.
Right, and so I have to ask, what is your sign?
Oh, I'm an Aries.
Oh, okay, all right, we're the same.
Oh, are you? Oh my gosh, okay.
You were saying drive. I was thinking okay, that's interesting.
Yes, fire and drive, yes.
Okay, I was just wondering, I'm sure before Joe, you were, meeting other men. So how did you communicate your weekend work commitments to potential partners earlier on the dating process?
So this is going to sound probably really crazy to people. So after my very long relationship, I did not date anyone until I met Joe.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I'm not that typical person in that aspect, and I'm thankful for that because I hear all the terrible stories from my girlfriends. But it was just, I hate to say destiny because that's so cheesy, but the stars just kind of aligned for us to meet. I wasn't looking for anyone. I really just thought this was going to be my time to kind of breathe and be on my own for a while. But it just goes to show you never know when you're going to meet someone.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
You can't force the time.
How long was your breakup with the previous one to the, till Joe showed
about
up?
a year.
Okay, that's not bad.
No.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. You don't even have to explain your work schedule.
No, I was very busy, so there was no time to think about it. I wasn't going to think about it. It was more of a healing period.
Okay, all right. Yeah, for the benefit of those people who are, who are listening, because she found Joe through work.
I did.
So
I did.
That's the reason why she doesn't have to explain anything anymore. If you were asked, do you think you will feel a pressure okay, you have to change your career because that's not gonna work for us because you're
Sure.
so busy?
Yeah, I don't think I would change my career. I love it too much. I've invested way too many years. But I think you have to find out what is important to that person, right? What is their love language? Is it time? Is it attention? Is it gifting? Is it touch? And then you have to decide, can you give them that love language, and can they give that to you in return? I truly do believe in that. If someone's free every weekend and they're going to have the expectation that I need to be free because they don't have other things going on, a friend circle, a hobby, I could tell right away that won't work for me, and it's going to become too contentious. And that happens a lot in real estate with dating. A lot of people do not understand our schedules, and that when we're busy, that's the priority, and when we're not busy, we'll give you our attention.
Yeah. No, because you're not the only real estate person
Yeah.
that I know. I know a lot. And so I was thinking okay, there are a lot of pretty women in the real estate industry. And I was thinking oh wow, I wonder how's the challenge for them, because I even asked them, okay, will you fill up my database so that you can be a part of it? And so just asking them to fill up, to complete that form takes forever. It seems not gonna
because
finish
the
it.
job always becomes the priority. As I've gotten more comfortable and have a lot more years under my belt, I think you become more comfortable in saying I don't need to rush to do this right now, and you can prioritize a little bit better. But when you're newer and you're hungry and you're trying to build something, that is your priority. Of course, everyone wants love, but they want it on their terms sometimes.
Just laughing because there's this beautiful woman that I was inviting. Okay, can you fill this? I have an event. I was asking her, can you come? And then she said thank you, but no, because she's new in the industry. So
But it would be great networking. She should look at it that way. It's great networking. Every event is an opportunity to meet somebody.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can hit two birds with one stone.
There you go.
That's right.
I mean, I met Joe selling a house. I was working. You never know.
Before you even met Joe, or even before your previous boyfriend, because you landed in real estate right away. What do you think were your key qualities that you were looking for someone to date? Because you know that you have a demanding weekend.
Yeah. So I think with my first long-term relationship, I mean, I was young. I don't know that I was thinking about qualities. It's probably way more, you're in your 20s. It's superficial. It's young. It's fun. But he was loyal and consistent. And I think as you learn about yourself and, your family and how those things affect you, you learn maybe why you chose that person at that time, right? And then after that, I realized that I wanted something totally different. And so the most important things to me was obviously someone who had their own life going on. And so because they were busy, they understood someone else being busy and were supportive. But the other two big things were I love to travel. My last relationship did not. So that was very, very important to me.
Whoa.
I know, that's odd, right?
No, because I've seen some people like that, some couples, but usually it's just the woman who's traveling if the guy doesn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
So I'm just thankful because my husband likes to go
Yes.
as well. And so I cannot imagine having somebody who's just going to be watching TV all the time and not even traveling, somewhere.
I said to him on probably our first date, I said, my biggest anxiety in life is that I'll never get to see all the beautiful places in the world because there's just not enough time or money.
That's right.
And so I wanted someone who wants to see as many of those things as well. And then just someone who was very family oriented. Like my siblings and I are super close. My last relationship, I think, felt some weird jealousy about the closeness of our family because he didn't have that with his.
Oh, wow.
And so I wanted to make sure that they were very much about family. Like I said, my siblings and I, we all still live here. We talk very frequently. We're all super close. And yeah, that was a match.
Yeah, it's the European in your family because Europeans are like that. Similar with the Asians like that. They want to be close-knit with the family, and then
Yes.
they can count on them just in case.
It's like the
they need them.
Italians say, you don't go against the family.
All right,
Yeah.
that's right. Just don't be a mama's boy or something. So how do you manage your connections? How do you keep it alive? Because obviously sometimes the schedule doesn't really match and it's out of whack.
I'll be honest, we did couples therapy for a while, not because we were having problems per se, but I felt like we were having a hard time making sure that we were staying connected because we both just get so busy with work. And she was really, really great. So I now preach therapy to everyone, and I would say you want to be in therapy before you have serious problems, because if you have serious problems, it's likely not going to be that successful. But she really harped hard on us about our phones because our phones are a big problem in distracting from creating romantic time, just personal connection. And we still have moments where we get caught up in our phones. And then one of us will be like, what are we doing? Why are we on our phone? What are we even looking at? And that's why we've sort of created this rule with sitting down and eating and things like that, because it helps you stay connected.
Okay, all right. No, that's good because before there was no cell phone.
Yeah.
So people have to wait till you can be answered on your messages. So they all go to the answering machine, and then if they're important, you either call them back or you go visit them. And so nowadays people are just glued.
You have to find a show you like as cheesy as this is, we like to watch The Bachelor and Bachelorette, and you can record that. So we watch it, we laugh, we talk, and it's fun. It's actually really fun. So you have to just find what you're both into. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Because he's so cute. I don't think I can force my husband to watch a Bachelor or Bachelorette.
And he'll probably be so embarrassed, but it was his suggestion to watch that show. him and his mom would watch it because she loved it. And so I think it's a little bit of like a nostalgic thing too.
No, I think it's great because he has that, feminine aspect of him,
Yes.
still there. And so, yeah, I think those are good qualities because they can be much more vulnerable and open to taking care of you because
Yeah.
they understand, okay, there's some, things that should be connected as well as far as how relationship would work. And I'm sure he likes to he is okay with therapy because how many guys that you have to drag in order to go to a therapy?
Right. And I think it helps you both go, gosh, we really are so glad we're not dating right now. Look how terrible this is, it's a little bit of a train wreck. And so it makes you kind of pause and, be grateful for what you have while also laughing at what's going on.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He seems like a very nice guy.
He is. Yes.
Okay. And so before you got Wilbur, was he there already?
I had Wilbur already. I had 4 dogs at one point. I know, it's crazy. So my ex had taken 2 and I kept 2. And one had passed away right as Joe and I were dating early on. And so I still just have Wilbur.
So how is the adjustment? Because they're like babies.
They are.
They're not your children, but
So,
they're somewhat
the
children.
very first, we had just moved in together, so this was a new home for Wilbur. And I was going to visit my sister in the burbs and spend the night. And I was like, oh, this is great because Joe can watch him and those 2 can hang out. So Wilbur was just so distraught about moving and I think me not being there that when Joe ran out to do something, he had diarrhea and he ripped the blind down off the back. Wilbur had a very bad moment, ripped the blind down off the back door. And I think Joe probably had a moment of maybe this was a mistake. So the beginning with Wilbur was a little rough, but it's a big change for him. He went from one of 4 dogs to one of 2 to one of 1 to a new home.
Yeah, there's a trauma.
It was some trauma there for him. And, Joe understood that. And, yeah, we laugh about it now.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, after 5 years, I'm sure there's some changes. And so, did you had hesitation on the start? Okay, should I be introducing my baby Wilbur?
No. I kind of felt like we were 40 when we met. We moved in together, I think, 6 or 7 months after meeting. The way we kind of looked at it was we're going to either jump in and try this and see if this works or not. And we're both financially sufficient independently. I still had my place. I kept it as a rental in case I wanted to go back there. And so it took the pressure off to allow us to say let's jump in and try. What are we going to do? Date for 3 years and then move in? We just felt like time was burning. And there was talk of family planning and things like that. And they're just, clock is ticking.
I'm not sure. Does Joe really like dogs?
Oh boy, he would be laughing so hard right now if he heard this conversation. So Joe likes dogs. Joe really likes a clean, hair-free household.
Okay.
So, he loves Wilbur, and Wilbur's fine, and Wilbur doesn't shed a ton. But I always say to everyone, Joe is a 1-dog person. I don't think we would ever have multiple dogs in our household. It's just too much for him.
Okay, so when you were having these 4 dogs, you always swipe your phone.
He made a joke that he was like, when I heard you had 4 dogs, I was like, maybe she isn't the one for me. So,
oh my God!
Yeah,
his wish came true.
Yeah.
It's just one.
Just one now. Just
Oh
one. So that is the sacrifice I had to make, which is we will just have one. Yeah. Wilbur's very happy being an only child, though.
I would imagine,
Yeah.
like, he gets all that attention.
Very spoiled. Very spoiled. Yes.
No, like, I've had a lot of guests over here, but we never have talked about this kind of situation that, there's a dog,
Yeah.
in the family.
Yeah. They're part of the family. He's like a child. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, okay. This has been fun. So, like, for those people who are watching, just want to let you know that, just in case that you are in the relationship and dating industry, we want to have you over here because I'm sure you have a lot of nuggets to share for those people who are watching us. And then if you are actually already in a committed relationship and you also have some things that, makes your relationship a success, so like we want to have you over here so you can share those nuggets. And also, like, if you are still wondering how to navigate love, and so I'm sure it's like, crazy out there, and we want to have you over here so maybe you can explain to us, like, and maybe we can help you somehow. So thank you again so much, Brooke.
This
and
was
then
fun. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon. You take care.